And we are live.
And I nailed it. I think I nailed it that time.
I think it's the Myrtle Beach vibes that got you where you needed to go. Welcome, everybody. Jenny, Winny, and the average dude on the same camera, if you can believe that. So what do you think of being together like this, Jenny?
Oh, I mean, I love it.
Do you?
Yeah. Wait a minute. I love it, Daniel. How do you feel about it?
Oh, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. See, we're also here with some little kids, but they have props.
We're here with family. So let's tell everybody what we've got exactly going on. So we're in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina every year, and maybe you guys do this as well. If you're in South Carolina, you probably do.
It doesn't even matter if you're not South Carolina.
A lot of people love Myrtle Beach.
A lot.
So I talked to someone from Chicago, and as a matter of fact, and she only experience with the South was Myrtle Beach. I said, you need to come somewhere other than Myrtle Beach, because Myrtle Beach is like this. It's where everybody goes.
It is. I mean, it's like I have family. Well, it's like, family by marriage, or used to be by marriage. Anyhow, they live in Pennsylvania. Yeah. Every year they come down to Myrtle Beach.
Right.
I said, there's something closer.
So what we do, we come down, we're in one house.
Wait a minute. Wait. We just got to put this up there. That's right, Jonathan. I nailed it.
Jonathan. Jenny really appreciates the validation.
I do. I needed a little stroke because I'm like
intro.
Na.
And watching her work, being in the same room, Jonathan, it's unbelievable. I mean, she has just got such skills.
It's skills. Skills. Go ahead, Daniel.
Speaking of skills, speaking of a great family, we've got one, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
So we've got 22, 23 people here total in one house under one roof. We're having lots of fun. Everybody's got their own room. Somebody might need to get into the room. We may get a little
bit. Now you might see something.
Look, see there goes Dad. So
that's like an icon.
That's the average dude's dad. And one day, it's not going to be today because they're not ready. They're putting the tents up on the beach, and we're missing it. Why would we miss? Say hello, Dad.
Hello.
So why would we be missing this fun time out on the beach and doing this, Jenny? Why would we do this?
Because we love it.
We do.
We love it.
We love talking to people. We love the adrenaline rush, the preparation. So we've been talking about what we're going to say, who we're going to interview, and all of those things. So this camera screen is all black. Could be, hey, Martin, thanks for
letting us know. Jonathan, can you see us?
Yeah. Let's find out if it's Martin's camera
or if
it's us.
Yeah, I'd like to know.
So
can you?
So Jonathan, if you're there.
Hey, there.
Speaking of more family members.
Well, little Diane, also known as, this is my mother and my father, right there.
And father.
Can you see us on your camera, dear one?
So we're getting to know Jenny, Winny, and the average dude a little better. Somebody let us know about the video quality. If someone's listening, can let us know.
I
don't know what we would do. I don't know.
I don't even know what we'd do either. No.
But it is a lot of fun. A new environment. So doing this in
wait a minute, it's black for me too.
Yeah. So how do we fix that?
I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to try to fix it right now.
Yeah. So this.
Wait a minute. Diane says I can see you guys.
Okay, so I know Diane is on Facebook and watching, and so I wonder if there's something about the LinkedIn.
Well, Jonathan, if you're still on there.
Yeah, Jonathan, if you could contribute to it and let us know. Otherwise, I don't know if the screen is black.
I know.
Yeah. So is this the settings you've had typically, Jenny?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're just going to roll right along. I would rather have the video quality, but what do you know? Perfection. Now that's just like a mom, but
I can see y'all, but I can't getting repeating video. I think the issue's on my end though, because my internet has been okay. So, but Jonathan can see us on LinkedIn.
There you go. So, and what do? We can't control, including, hey, and look, everything works out. I was sweating bullets. I said, we don't have a guest. We're going to have to ad lib for 30 minutes. And that was making me sweat a little bit.
But it wasn't going to make me sweat. You know why? I'm going to tell y'all why. Because Jenny Winny made some notes, and buddy, we were gonna get to know this fella.
We're gonna get to know me.
Oh, it's gonna be fun. Oh, it's gonna be fun.
You're gonna interview me, but we've got Elizabeth now, and we've got. Okay.
I can see y'all on LinkedIn.
And there goes my mama. So see, when you need fan support, when you need people to come in and say hello, what you do is you just get your family to jump on. Look, Dad goes again. He's forgetting things. What's wrong with this man?
I don't know. Yep.
But of course, we appreciate everybody tuning in. We appreciate the opportunity to do the show, and we appreciate having great guests like we're going to have today.
Yep.
Don't we, Jenny?
Oh, yes. Because listen, we kind of put it out there, okay? And we know that our guest is busy. And so we thought, well, maybe something's come up. There's been an emergency. I was like, she's been in a wreck.
Yeah, wouldn't that
we
be
weren't
fun?
sure. We just weren't sure what was happening.
Yeah.
But
we're glad that she's here. She's okay. And I want to say this, because the last thing you ever want to do, what did I say? I said, Jenny, if she doesn't make it, it's because of a miscommunication on my end. Full responsibility, right? Anything that goes sideways, that's the way the average dude likes to roll.
It's usually on his end. I'm just going to say
but you accept that, and then you have a little bit more control of things. So
yes.
Great to have Elizabeth with us. I tell you what, we've got a lot going on around us.
I'm sorry. It's like, you know what? I had one request.
I
said, maybe, we're going to go upstairs. Daniel and I, you know what? We're just going to go upstairs. We're going to do our thing. If y'all could stay down, maybe be a little quiet. Doesn't matter.
Literally everybody.
You know what? Literally, they're all like, well, I just wanted to get my pillow.
Yeah.
You could wait.
But it's great because when we're doing things that are a little different, Jeannie and I, hey, we're grateful. We're grateful to be at the beach. We're grateful to be talking with you guys. And we're grateful to, again, have our guests. So on that note, Jeannie, let's go ahead and bring in our guest for this episode.
Are you going to announce her?
I'm going to announce her when she gets in here.
Okay.
Yeah. There she is. Hello. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning. I did text you that I was 2 minutes late because of a client, so I do apologize, but I communicated.
Hey, and you know about the communication. I know that's one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about. So here I am checking my phone, and you know what? You did. So there you go.
But I did. I felt bad, but I can't just let a client.
No. And I said, you know what?
No. Yeah. And I said, maybe she's with a client.
Yes.
See? Look at that.
And I know, she's on the ball. And what I also said, Elizabeth, is that I know you've got a hard stop at 12:30. I said, so Elizabeth's got clients, and she's probably a very, I bet you have a full calendar, don't you?
Oh gosh, I can't tell you what I'm doing unless I look at a calendar. If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist.
No, that's awesome. So
I like that kind of busy. You know what I mean? It's like I like that, because I would like to have a calendar where I'm completely filled. But
I would too.
Yeah, this is pretty much on my calendar.
How granular do you get in your scheduling of yourself? Do you schedule everything, Elizabeth?
Oh my gosh, I have to look at my calendar to answer this. Yes, because I do sell my time. So if I want to do something, I've got to get to it before my clients do. But my schedule starts at 4:45 and ends at about 7 p.m.
Wow. And so, and you've got included in that, you've got your rest time as well. Like you might be intentional about relaxation. Is that safe to say or not?
Yes. For me, relaxation is reading and learning. So I will schedule that, or I'll schedule like work tasks that have to get done, working out. My faith is important. So time with God, clients, meetings. But it's the life of an entrepreneur, right? Sometimes we have really busy seasons.
Well, but do you schedule like grocery store?
I'm going to tell you an honest answer about that.
I love honest
answers. Like honest, yes.
I love the grocery store. The grocery store is my retail therapy. I get this a lot. Like I should have created Instacart because I was shopping for other people when I was 13 because I love the grocery store so much. I can organize things, the order. It's just exciting. I can tell people in Publix who work there where everything is. I am great at Instacart. Like I kill the time. I find it so much fun. So I try really hard not to go to the grocery store because I spend too much money.
Oh, wow. Yes.
You know what? I got a question.
Go for it.
This is about the grocery store. Are you like me? I'm one of these people that I will write my grocery list according to the category, according to the aisles. I know the aisles in my head. So I'm like produce. And then when you go down this aisle, grab this. And this. Do you do that?
Yes. And then I leave the list at home.
Me too. There you go. We're good.
Now I just text myself because your phone is your third arm. So it goes everywhere you go.
Yep.
So Elizabeth, I read your profile on LinkedIn. I mean, you were speaking my language. I think you want people to respond the way that I responded when I read your profile on LinkedIn. Can you explain to folks what you do in a brief way? And then I want to dig into some of the things that stood out on your profile for me.
For sure. So I work as an executive performance coach, and I help entrepreneurs, small businesses and large businesses transform their psychology and their employee psychology, create lasting visionary companies, and really generate more impact and income at the end of the day.
I like it. Yeah.
I like that too.
Yeah. So you look at the why we do the things that we do. I just think that's so important, because what we have on this earth is time and energy, and how we spend it is a kind of a big deal, isn't it?
For sure. And the people that I work best with are the STEM individuals, the linear thinkers, the engineers, and they really need to understand the why before they can even begin to transform. They need to have that understanding of like, okay, well, why am I doing this? I want the explanation. And that understanding just really like awakens their soul and their mind almost. And they start to see like, oh, okay, I don't need to do that, or I could do this instead. And so I just love science too. I think it's fun to like explore humans.
The reasoning behind what you do.
But now I've got two questions. One, STEM. What is STEM? I saw that. I wasn't sure what that was.
Oh yeah, sure. So STEM is kind of an acronym that we've used to kind of consolidate the science, the technical, the engineers, and the mathematical individuals. So it's very so I kind of see people in two lights, and typically you fall in one or two, always the exception. You're either kind of more of a creative person who likes ambiguity. You're okay with not having finite data. You're good with like really unspecific words in conversations. And then you have the linear thinker who's like 1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah.
I need that. I need the steps. I need the paths.
And add up.
Exactly. Or like I'm very high in structure. So when when people use ambiguous words to me, especially in like personal relationships, like
I love that word ambiguous, by the way. Go ahead.
Right. I'm like, what does that mean? What's the meaning you make out of that? Because I don't know what like fine means, or I don't know what this means. Like I need more like I need precision.
Yeah.
But
so that's interesting. Now, and I guess you find yourself in you need precision, right? You need for it to make logical sense and that sort of thing. But now in this personal development world, aren't there a lot of things that we do when we don't know exactly? In other words, if we've done things the same way for so long, sometimes when we change, we don't know what we don't know. So there's a little bit of, I don't want to call it faith, but we know that this might be the logical next step, but we don't know what's next. Is that something that you can speak to?
I mean, I think this is like the perfect proverb, iron sharpens iron, right? And so this is the power of working with mentors and working with wise mentors and wise leaders, is to have someone help you see those alternative perspectives. I mean, look, I've got 2 psychology degrees, but there's moments where I am like in my own world and I miss it. And then my friend calls it out. I'm like, I could have called that out on anybody else, but I totally missed it for myself. So it's just the reality of being a human. I mean, we were created to be in community, to have belonging, to have friends, to have connections. The Anglo-Saxons believe that we don't need anybody and we just need ourselves, which is why this self-righteous attitude in America is kind of destroying us to a degree. We need connection. We need help from people.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to bring up Jonathan Peoples' comment here. I talked about it in the beginning, but full responsibility is the only way to live, right? And so I'm watching Jenny text somebody. I don't know who she's texting.
I'm saying, hey, come turn. Okay, whoever's listening out there that's in this house, if they could come turn that washing machine off.
Yeah.
And
so when you have an authentic show, then you're able to talk to your cousin and say, hey, who is that
quit
over
texting,
there?
but I was trying to text it without looking down. And
That's tough.
Yeah, that's very tough.
She's being a good producer.
That's right. She's all things. I don't know what I would do without her.
But Jenny,
what's your
my question, like you said that you work with entrepreneurs, and how do you market that? How do they know they need you? You know what I'm saying? It's like, how do they come to you? When they come to you, what are they asking for? If that makes sense.
Oh yeah. Well, I work with entrepreneurs and small and large businesses as well in the C-suite section. So first of all, referrals, it kind of flows like flat fire there. Second off, a lot of entrepreneurs come to me for either a winning mindset or more confidence, ultimately, a lot of them are looking to either fix culture or business dilemmas within their company and repair the foundation.
Mhm.
How I find them, you
They find
create.
you.
Yes, create. I don't want to hunt you. You kind of come to me or you don't at the end of
Right.
the day. And it's all about attracting. I love teaching. And so I have YouTube channels and I do videos and I do courses
Mhm.
and a lot of facilitation and mastermind groups. And then it just kind of travels out like that.
Yeah, so that organic growth, and I love that. You'd rather attract than beg for clients. I think that's always
Oh yeah.
a good way to get it. Then you know that person's genuine, and you're talking to your tribe. I'm doing a boot camp with Henrik Blot, someone that we interviewed previously, and he talks a lot about that. You know, everybody, regardless of where you are, there's your people, your tribe, and as you said, you can differentiate two different groups of people,
Mhm.
and there's a certain group, a team, or a person that's going to resonate with you.
Yep.
Right. Right. And it's okay if we don't like everyone or if there's multiple people that you look for. I mean, at the end of the day, if someone can help you grow, let them.
Absolutely. And now let's talk about that for a minute. A
Mhm.
lot of times we hear you've got to have someone that's achieved. And I understand this thinking, right? You don't want someone giving you the diet advice
Yeah.
if they haven't, the proof is in the pudding. But I do believe what you said, Elizabeth, that we can learn from anyone that can say something that can help us. Then I want to take that advice regardless of the source, right?
I mean, how many times has Ginny told you something and it went, whew, and then, Bill, the stranger on the side of the road, said the same thing and was like, oh, I get it now.
Yes,
So true.
Right? I
absolutely.
mean,
Yes.
that's how it works sometimes. And one thing I like to tell my clients is if you can make anything interesting,
Mhm.
then you will be always successful because people tell us things that aren't interesting all the time. But to give somebody the attention and to make it interesting is a skill. And
Oh,
that skill
yeah.
can then be adapted to, hey, what can this person teach me? And so there's humility that comes from that versus the arrogance and that self-righteousness of, oh, I don't need
I
anybody's
don't need
help.
anybody to teach me anything.
Which is a core belief that is a protective mechanism. It's a defense mechanism at the end of the day that's going to hinder your growth more than anything and your bottom line.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. I love that. If you can make anything interesting, and that takes energy, that takes genuine curiosity. And I talk a lot about that. I think in order to have an effective conversation, even with us having this conversation, I'm curious about how you got started in this. I know you've been doing it for about 6 years. And
Yeah.
so what led you to
Well,
say, go ahead.
I'm going to segue off of that
Yeah.
because I said, oh, well, look, you know what? She has her bachelor's in like television production.
Production. Yeah.
Okay. So that's maybe a little related, but how did we veer from that to where you are now?
Great question. Not intentional. And it's going to sound a little entitled and arrogant, so I'm going to just get that out of the way.
Yeah, just you know what? You go ahead because we support that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, everyone can perceive things differently. So, like many Americans and people in the world, I had a really crummy childhood. Unfortunately for me, my brother literally tried killing me my whole life. Being so serious. Forgive him, love him from afar. Not.
I laugh.
No. It's
Brother.
It's fine. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
That's
Come on.
true.
Wow. That is I just want to make sure that I heard that right. He was abusive to you in some way, or?
Yeah, he shot at me, put knives in my throat, drowned me, strangled me.
Wow.
You name it. Okay.
Wow.
Been through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always would tell people that like my home life was like living in a war zone because you never knew when like a bomb or an explosion or like World War whatever number we were at was going to break through. And not everyone believes that types of stuff, which is fine. It was interesting living through it for sure. Long story short, I almost died from an eating disorder when I was 16, and I decided to leave my house at 16 because it just was a very unstable home. My dad died when I was 7. So I finished my undergrad in television producing. I'd been in the industry for about 10 years at this point because I started professionally when I was 15. And I was really tired of the trauma that I was living through. I was actually in Africa doing a wildlife documentary, and it was there when I was like, oh my gosh, my life is not normal. Like my childhood was so abnormal.
Yeah.
And I've got to deal with this stuff. And it's, you only know what you know, right?
Yeah.
And so I went to therapist after therapist. I'd been going to therapy in and out since I was 11, and no one could ever tell me how to change. And I wanted change. Instead, I got the whole like, oh my gosh, you went through so much. Oh my gosh, tell me more. Oh my gosh, how are you not like a stripper and addicted to drugs?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I was just like, great, glad you're like amazed at my childhood. Like, don't care. What's the steps to change? No one could ever tell me. And so I decided to get my first graduate degree in positive psychology with a subspecialty in coaching, with the only initiative to fix myself,
I
not to
love
do
it.
this for a living,
That is
just
unreal.
to fix myself. I ended up being good at it. And one of my professors gave me the overflow of his clients. And then like the rest became history. And I started to obsess over neuroscience and neurology, and I would read textbooks. And then I decided to get my second degree because God forbid you're just a coach and you're not a therapist, and everybody wants some credential, when I'll tell you, therapists don't learn enough in school. It's disgusting how little they learn. I'm absolutely appalled. And I
Yeah.
very much see the red tape all over mental health in this country. And B, just because you have a coach certification doesn't mean you're a coach in my world. Like there's so much more in-depth research. And so, long story short, I used me as a guinea pig. I had a horrible immune system and an autoimmune disease. And through leveraging neuroscience and neurobiology, I walked out of all that and transformed my psychology from, at the time, I was diagnosed with complex PTSD. Now I no longer have any of that. And I just walked out of all this stuff because I was really learning and identifying the ways of steps to transform, which unfortunately a lot of therapists and coaches don't know.
Absolutely.
Oh, you know what? I'm pulling this up. That is amazing. You are so put together.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you. I'm in workout clothes right now. If that helps, make me not.
I got to ask her a question.
yeah, and I've got plenty to ask her. Go
Okay,
ahead.
well, I'm going to ask one thing. Okay, so you said that, you at 16, you had a really bad eating disorder.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that was because of it was something that you could control? You know what I mean? It was like you couldn't control what was going on at home, or is that just, am I just doing like a therapy thing that I shouldn't do?
I mean, it's oversimplified, right? Like a lot of people say, oh, well, you didn't have any control. This is something you can control. That is a slither to the large piece of eating disorders. So I specialize in eating disorders. Eating disorders are the #1 killer of all mental health. Right now, opioid addiction is quickly moving into first place. A lot of people don't know how to deal with eating disorders. For me, it was multiple things. It can be generational or genetic. And so there was a little bit of lineage in that for my family. But my dad died when I was 7. The rest of my family pretty much died right after. So by the time I was 15, I'd gone to over 25 funerals. I started experiencing sexual abuse when I was about 8 years old from many different people, all the way to school and medical doctors. So a lot of it was my power was constantly being taken away. I was told I was stupid, fat, and ugly every single day of my life. Until he started dying of an eating disorder. It's amazing how people change their tune. It's like, oh, all right.
Oh, now you're just too skinny. Yeah.
Right.
You're like, I thought I was fat.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was multiple things. I think it was also the fact that, it's self-hatred, eating disorders are really fueled by self-hatred, self-rejection, and guilt. And when you're a child, your brain doesn't fully develop till you're 25. And so my feedback was everything is my fault. I suck. I'm a piece of crap.
Yeah.
And so at some point that manifests.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And mine was just an eating disorder, which I don't wish on anybody.
Well, I love what you're saying there. So you were visited several different types of therapists, a lot of different, looking for solutions. And it ended up that the solution that you needed was to start investigating this for yourself. You started learning about it, because ultimately, if we can't find the best coach, I say often is the coach we're our own best coach. A lot of times, and maybe you see this with your clients, we have this knowledge within us, but sometimes we kind of I don't know, we're not able to tap into the knowledge that we have within us already, right?
Right. And one thing that I actually learned a few years ago with transformation and just psychological safety is, if you've never had safety imprinted into your mind as a child, it's really actually hard to trust someone, period. And so then there's going to be a breach with therapy at the end of the day.
Trust yourself.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother monster, right? And so, if therapy isn't working for a person, then that's when I would encourage them to go and do the research themselves, because they might not be as trusting
I was trying to do something
with another person. So that's just unfortunately the reality.
Go ahead. You have several questions.
What I wanted to talk about was positive psychology. I heard you say that. I think if anything that I have seen that we need in the world is more positivity. Can you talk about what positive psychology is?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. So positive psychology was actually how psychology was in a way originally intended to be, if you will. After World War One, when everyone came, or when a few soldiers came home with shell shock syndrome, which is now PTSD, it shifted from what's going right in your life to what's going wrong in your life. The issue when you constantly talk about your issues is you strengthen the dominant neural connections, and so
Oh,
that
that's so
becomes more of a
true.
default way of being. You actually want to suppress and starve the neurons by not feeding them and talking about the other way of being.
Oh,
And
that's so
so
good.
Mhm.
positive
So,
psychology is really emphasizing what's going right in your life and how do we
Mm.
use some of these negative emotions in a powerful way. Like anger is a great emotion. I mean, imagine if Martin Luther King Jr. never got angry. He
Yeah.
did something about his anger. He didn't just vent and, I want to say cuss word, but I'm not. He was proactive.
Yeah,
I try hard
that's
not
the
to cuss.
goal right there.
that was some control.
And so, positive psychology is just looking at everything, being a little bit more expansive in your thinking and just saying, and really bringing in hope and optimism. I mean, humans have to have hope. You have to. I'm sorry.
Yes.
People who struggle with depression, they don't have hope. And that
Yeah.
hope is going to, it's amazing what hope can do for a person.
Mhm.
Let me just say that. I mean, we're wired for love at the end of the day. That's why it feels so good. We're
Yeah.
wired to have positive goals. That's why when you have avoidant behaviorisms, you're more likely to have depression and hate your life. We
Yes.
need to be more focused on what we want to achieve in life versus what we want to avoid.
Yeah. Now, what do you say to these people that say, "Hey, that's a Pollyanna view of the"? I love that feeding the neuron. So I'm
Oh, I
right there
love
with you.
that.
But I
Yeah.
want to play devil's advocate. What do we say to folks that say, "The world's not a great place. You need to, you need to be aware of the negativity"? Let's say, what do we say to folks like that?
I would say that you're living in the kingdom of fear, and how's your life going for you?
There you go. The results are.
I mean, you have to be aware of the bad. You have to be aware of it, but you don't have to feed it. Is
You
what
don't have
I'm.
to focus on it. You have to remember whatever you focus on is what's going to grow. I mean, we've proven in neuroscience, heck, all the religions say the dang same thing, which is humans create their most dominant thought. So if your most dominant thought is negativity, 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 don't come crying to me when you hate your life and all you see is negativity.
I love it.
Yeah,
I
don't
mean,
come
you
crying to
do.
her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'll fix you, but don't. Venting is one of the stupidest things you could really actually do for your brain, to a degree. But I mean, at the end of the day, you thinking changes your neurology naturally, and how you think will also train your brain for you to see to tell your brain what to look for. I mean, that's the power of the reticular activity system, fortunately and unfortunately.
Man, that's all.
That's
I've,
great.
I've already learned so much just in 25 minutes. I'm like, no more venting. Because you're feeding it. You're giving it. It's almost like you're giving it positive reinforcement in your brain.
Yeah, well, what's terrifying is even venting, talking about negativity doesn't just hurt your brain, it hurts the listener's brain too. There's a
Mhm.
time and place where, yeah, okay, vent, 5 minutes tops. You know what you don't like. We're humans. It's very easy to identify that. Let's
Yeah.
talk about what you want to do about it, because have
Right.
you noticed when you vent and your friend tells you, keep telling me more, you get angry. You get angrier.
Yes.
They start, that's not where we want to go. And negativity causes irreparable damage to the brain. I don't know about you, but I'm trying to keep my brain as healthy as possible because I want
Yes.
to live a long life and I want to have an abundance life and I want to give and love everybody that comes into my way.
Amen, Elizabeth. I
And
love it.
we've talked about this so many times because we'll talk about you might have a friend who tells you the negative, 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 and then you're like, okay, well, but then they never change anything. They never do anything, and then it's negative, and it just after a while you're mentally drained. I have nothing left to give. There's nothing.
Well, they almost form their identity on this victim mentality, and I'm not saying you are obviously a victim.
Oh, right,
and
right.
you have shifted, but people that aren't able to escape that victim mentality,
Mhm.
they are just
That's their whole existence.
their reason, yeah,
That's their identity.
and if they can get that emotional rise out of the listener, which to Elizabeth's point is a negative,
It's like it makes you mad, and and it fuels it.
yes. And so people unfortunately go, I have been guilty of that, but I have also become aware of
He's
what's
very
actually,
aware, I
of
will
what's
say.
actually happening. And so I just refuse
Mhm.
to do something. And I just think it's so important. And we've got limited time and energy. Who are we spending our time with? Right. And I don't want to be around someone that's going to bring me down.
Yep.
Oh, amen. I'm very, very specific of who A, I'll work with, and B, who I allow in my personal space, because I'm sorry, I just don't have time for toxicity.
Yeah.
I'm trying to become the best person that I can possibly be and either keep up or goodbye type of deal.
Right.
Mhm.
So I think you made a point there. So you're trying to attract clients and you want
Yes,
to
that's
work
nice.
with a specific type of client. What are some of the things that you look for some commonality and you say, you know what, I can help this person. What are some of the core things that you like to hear when you're interviewing a prospective client?
So for me, this is where my training has kind of pigeonholed me to a generalist almost, because I can really deal with anything that comes in my way. I'm just an avid researcher. I freaking love doing what I'm doing, and I've gone through so much stuff, so it's kind of rare that I've heard something that I haven't personally walked through.
That's got to give you an edge, I would think.
Yeah.
It does really help me. I mean, sometimes it's more of an empathy connection because it's not necessarily verbatim. I like working with high performers. I like working with smart, fast thinking, really ambitious, high endurance individuals. I work well with the a-hole people, just to put it out there like that. The a-hole.
Gotcha.
Just a little controlling, maybe a little flexibility and really wanting to change. But for me to work with you, it really has to come down to willingness. Like, are you willing to change?
Mhm.
I don't care this is why I'm not a therapist, because I don't care to listen to why you don't want to change session after session after session after session. That's cool. That's great. Either you want to come in, you want to fix the root issue, or you want to get out. My clients typically see radical transformation within 3 sessions because I look for the root issue and we move forward, and I can psychoanalyze someone in about 10 minutes. Unfortunately, it's kind of a curse to a degree in your personal life.
I like it though.
I like it.
Do you ever find yourself maybe psychoanalyzing, jumping to conclusions and find yourself to be wrong about an assumption?
So this is where you have to leverage mindful thinking. I'm looking for data points, right? This is where I'm putting in a science mind and I'm looking to uphold a hypothesis. Am I wrong? Okay. Really, am I wrong? That doesn't mean the person's going to tell me I'm wrong, because I've had clients come in and say, like, nope, tell me what's wrong with me, fix me. I will do whatever you say. Okay, the first session, I tell them everything. Take some time this session for them.
Okay, here it comes.
I'm struggling. So some people don't like to hear the truth, which is fine, right? There's a time place for that. But I've been doing this for so long, and I'm an expert in psychometric testing and personality theory that you hear the traits. I mean, there's a reason that we generalize to a degree. There is a reason.
I agree. And so you start picking up on these patterns and these kind of laws of human nature, which is one of my favorite topics.
Mhm.
But people don't want to see themselves accurately. We say we want to be self-aware, but
That's
then
cognitive dissonance, though, right? Like, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've told someone, like, you're struggling with perfectionistic tendencies. And they're like, well, I don't see myself as a perfectionist. And I'm like, well, I don't care. I'm just telling you.
I don't care if you
What
see
you're
it or not.
doing, if you want to fix it, like, because you keep finding excuses to why you won't do it because you can't get to the degree you want.
Because you can't be
Absolutely.
perfect at it. Do you ever, so like when you meet with someone, do you draw a conclusion, like you said, a hypothesis in your head, and then as you talk, you like notate key things, like you're checking off a list that fits your hypothesis? You know what I mean? Has it ever been like, oh, wait a minute, I was way off. This is completely different than I thought.
Man, I feel like arrogant saying no. I'm usually
No, I want you to say it.
It makes me feel a little uncomfortable because I don't ever want to come across as like
No.
arrogant. But no, I mean, I listen for psychometrics that are either low or high, and I also listen for some of the root issues that I've found in my own 5+ years of intense research to be really kind of core issues for humanity, and I write them down. I mean, these pens are my favorite pens because I like to color code, and so I color code my notes, and I just put it to the side, and I don't bring things up until I have enough data to support it in case the client wants to argue or deny it. I mean, at the end of the day, like, I'm not here to tell you how you are. I'm here to share observations and insights for you to then achieve your goals at a faster rate.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think that's interesting that I asked the question because so a lot of what you're saying is resonating with me because I feel very similar, but I have found myself in certain situations to jump to conclusions. Something looks like it maybe I find a data point and say, that's probably this. And then down the road, I find it to be different.
Yeah.
So that was the reason that was on my mind. I want to go back to something that you mentioned earlier.
We're black, by the way.
Oh, uh-oh.
Yeah, I don't know why the screen
Yeah,
is
so I
black.
don't know why the screen is black, but that's unfortunate.
They
Hey,
can hear us though.
yeah. So when you talked about the uh, transmutation of energy, right? So we have this that well, I'm using that word, but what you talked about earlier was when something negative comes in and you have this, maybe it's anger or something like that. I think that's a big deal to know that, hey, energy is good. That's how we're going to make it right through life, and energy, regardless of form, if we can take that and put it into something positive. Do you have any thoughts on that, or any ideas of how people can take, say, anger, transmute that energy and put it into something positive?
I mean, anger is typically going to stimulate from two different avenues. It's either going to be self-righteous anger, which is, oh, someone did something that you didn't like. Okay, get over yourself. Just get over yourself. That's going to be the result of bitterness. You're essentially being fueled from unforgiveness. And so you're angry that they hurt you. You've probably hurt somebody in your life too. Again, humans are great hypocrites. They're just great at it.
Aren't we?
Oh my goodness, yes.
I mean, I'm guilty of this too. And then there's righteous anger, which is like seeing someone being wronged or being treated immorally. This is where knowing your values is really important. What are the actions that you can take to honor your values? What's really making you angry about this? And exploring that. It's really getting proactive. And I mean, some of the greatest, kind of losing my words here, I'm going to say missions, the greatest like cultural changes we've had in our world have been because someone got angry and did something about it in a proactive way.
Right.
Personally believe in leaving the world a better place and giving unconditional love to everyone I come in contact with. You can still be firm and have boundaries in doing so. So I like to encourage people, like, when you're angry, you know, what's a positive, loving, kind thing that you can do to create the change, and what are you willing to do? I mean, I'm the type of person that if I see someone being treated poorly, I'll put myself there. I'll assert myself.
Me too.
Not everyone will do that. And so it's kind of also really owning, like, what are you willing to do about this? And if you're not willing to do anything about it,
then don't get angry.
You have to let it go.
Let it go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that kind of the power of the present moment. And I, one of the things that I say often and ask myself often, Elizabeth, is NBA, the next best action. So regardless of what's happened, regardless of where we are, we've got this moment, this day, regardless of how the day's going. What is the thing that I can do right now to win the moment?
Yep.
And
agreed.
And if you can win the moment, then you have momentum. So regardless of where things are, you know, I will tell myself, okay, how can I generate momentum? I can do that by winning the moment. What do I need to do?
Yep.
And one thing that you're saying that you're not bluntly saying is that means you have to have the mindset and the mental security and the emotional and spiritual security to not allow your external environment to dictate your internal environment. And unfortunately, a lot of people will only internally be good when the external world is good. Well, you're going to always be at the mercy of everyone else then and your situation. You've got to reverse it. You've got to, I mean, there's people in like communist jails who are being tortured right now who just love. They're just giving love to the abusers, and they've so much peace inside of them. There's not a dang thing you could do to take that.
That's
That's what we have to have at the end of the day. And that sometimes is going to require a faith system or believing in something bigger than yourself.
Yep.
You know, and I love that. And I talk about scaling the pain, right? You know, the doctor's got the thing 1 to 10, how bad does it hurt? Right.
Yeah,
you know, but
I do too.
But for, you know, what's painful for one, pain is subjective. But when you compare any life situation, let's say Elizabeth doesn't show up for the thing. I had planned that. And I said, you know what? Maybe we have a great opportunity to talk amongst ourselves. Yeah. Maybe, you know, so external environments, things that happen, and I hate to keep bringing that up. It's just relevant right now, but anything.
Glad I could help.
Yeah, right. And so I'm so glad that it worked out. But my point is, you know, anything that happens, to your point, in the external world, we can compare that psychological pain to the pain of losing a loved one, to being sick. We can compare it to that, and all of a sudden, this is a small thing that does not matter. Why would we spend our time and energy on that? Yeah. I mean,
well, even I think too, this is one thing I say a lot, is like something small. Let's say I have a really bad back. Okay. I can complain about it.
I hate to hear her complain about it.
I don't, but I need to have surgery, but I'm not going to. So I say, I'm not going to complain about it if I'm not going to do anything about it. You know what I mean? It's like, I hate it when somebody's complaining about the same thing over and over and over, but they're never going to change anything. So why are you even talking about it anymore?
Because they have avoidant behaviorism, and that is how they're fueled. And
Which
that's their
brings me to
focus.
my next question. I usually have a question mark that I put over Daniel. I'm like,
I like that one.
Okay. Okay. So you said something about like when you talk to somebody, you say, okay, I identify their core issues. What, like, are there specific core issues that you like look at, name or something? You know what I mean? I'm just wondering.
You have a process.
I
did
can
see
tell.
that.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm very, very linear oriented, only because humans like that. And I like that. I just remember in therapy, there'd be so many times where I had 5 minutes to speak and they spoke about everything. And I was like, wow, what did I get out of that session?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, well, I specialize in neuropsychotherapy. So I'm trained very astutely to listen to the people will tell you your problems or their problems. Let me say it that way. If you know how to listen, you can literally hear all of the person's problems. And when you know how the brain works, you can also hear what parts of the region of their brain are fueling that way of thinking, which can tell you what parts of their brain are over or underdeveloped. And I'm after helping them have a healthy, well-balanced brain so that they can be more efficient, because we live in this world in America where it's like your arm isn't connected to your shoulder and your shoulder's not connected to your chest, so like nothing connects. Stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Right. And so a lot of the core issues I look for are kind of like, do they have fear of man? Do they have fear of abandonment? Do they fear of failure? Do they have rejection? Do they have the unlovingness?
Oh yeah.
Do they have bitterness? Do they have jealousy? Do they have envy? Where's their limbic loop? What side of their prefrontal cortex is over or underdeveloped? What's their hippocampus like, right? Like I'm listening for what are their symptoms? You can learn so much about a person by their physical symptoms, because 98 to 75% of all physical and mental illnesses are due to someone's thoughts. That means 2 to 25% is due to genetics and the environment, but we can't stop there. We know in epigenetics that you can change your DNA through your thoughts. Oh, wow. It's amazing. The power of your thoughts can do so much to your life. Incredible.
That's interesting right there.
Your life. I mean, just take a second and calibrate your thoughts there and aggregate them, because you got yourself there. Your thinking gets you there at the end of the day. And so I listen to the core. I listen for that, and then I listen for the meaning that they make out of things. I also have a handful of assessments that kind of like takes an x-ray of the person's brain, if you will, and it scores them in 24 psychometrics, which allows me to see very individually where they're being hindered. And then I can share that with my client. And typically that brings immediate agreement, because they'll see like, oh, look at my autonomy at a 10. No wonder I'm so self-righteous and don't accept anybody's help. Or, hey, my self-confidence is a 2. No wonder I'm constantly in fear because I don't like myself. And I've got some trauma and soul wound work to do before I can get to that healthy foundation. And so, I mean, again, you do something for 7 years consistently, you can just hear these traits being spoken out. And so that's just why I'm good at it. And I like to read and study and learn. And so I listen for that type of stuff, and therapists and coaches have an ethical responsibility to constantly grow themselves, because you can't take anyone further than you've already gone. And I'm very self-aware. So I constantly work on myself to up my game so I can help my clients go there, because if you're like me, you wanted to change like 3 weeks ago. And so I'm all about like, how do we collapse time as fast as possible while making as permanent of a change as possible? Some things take longer, and that's just going to depend on the person's cognition, intelligence, willingness, emotional intelligence, how much they're willing to interrupt it.
They're all in. They need to be all in for this to work.
And everybody wants instant gratification. Like you said, you're trying to shrink it down. It's like, well, I want to change tomorrow. If you go on a diet, everybody's like, well, I dieted all day.
I know. Why can't I be 10 pounds lighter?
Less tomorrow, Yeah.
But even something like exercise and working out, we were talking about that yesterday. Sometimes it's just the psychological win of, okay, I told myself I was going to do 100 push-ups today. If I do 100 push-ups, I'm going to get a little dopamine kick. I'm going to feel better. Yeah. I'm going to overcome myself. And so just having, anything's better than nothing, right? Also, and so often, if we can just get a few push-ups, well, that's better than nothing. And instead of looking for that, but then we've got.
And I can tell that you actually love what you do.
Oh, I love it. I work really long hours. It doesn't feel like work to me though.
Yeah, I
you
love
can see
that
that
you
you
love it.
love it. I mean, it's like you're so enthusiastic. You're like, you want to help people. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
talk too fast sometimes.
Hey, keep it going. So here's Diane, Jennifer's
This is
mother
my
here.
mother.
But she says, I have a headache today. Is that complaining?
No, but if you have a history of migraines, and that means that you have a lot of conflict in your life, and it's not the conflict, but it's the fact that you're conflicted about the conflict.
Oh.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it is.
And confusing?
I hope you're listening, Mom.
Yeah. Well, Diane's on Facebook, so she gets to see.
Yeah, she's seeing what's happening here.
Isn't it disappointing that I'm really enjoying this conversation,
Mhm.
and I wish that we had video on LinkedIn.
I don't understand why we don't. We always have video. It says it's
It
black.
can be finicky sometimes.
I know.
Yeah,
But
so
I mean,
we're not going to sweat it. We're going to keep
Well, what
rolling
I'm
for
going to
it.
do is I'm going to repost it so they can see it.
There you go.
There you go. Look at you being proactive.
Yes,
That's what I do. Now, I will say this. It's like my daughter-in-law. She says, she said, if you've ever seen that movie, I don't know, it's about the emotions Inside Out or something.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, you're joy. You're joy.
Aw.
And I'm like, I am. But I'm like, I want to try to fix, and I'm a fixer. But it's like,
People
hey,
pleasing.
yeah, we can do this. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. We got it. You know. And hey, that makes everything a lot better, don't you think?
I
Sounds
think
like you're
so.
a natural encourager, too.
What's that?
I said it sounds like Jenny's a natural encourager as well.
She is, yeah. But you know, and I'm sure you know about this, sometimes our strengths and things that people appreciate us for also can go the other way, right? It's a double-edged sword. So
You can expend yourself.
yeah, it's all about, and so she gets a little bit of that validation kick, and she feels valuable by helping other people and people pleasing, which can kind of, I hope I'm not saying too much here, but
I'm a people pleaser.
So that can lead to, hey, Joe, who introduced me to Elizabeth here, and I'm glad you did, Joe. Thank you. Glad that you're here.
Yes, Joe.
And do you go by Liz or Elizabeth? I probably should ask that.
Oh, no, it's fine. I feel like the name Elizabeth is like the Southern mutt name because there's so many bloody nicknames that go to it. So Elizabeth Liz is fine.
Okay, great.
Liz is a lot less syllables. Elizabeth.
Yeah, I know. It's like Jenny Winny. I'm Jennifer. That's my grown-up name, but literally it's Jenny Winny, Jenny Lenny, Jenny something. I don't know.
Yeah. I like Jenny Winny, and so that's where we're going with it.
That's where we're going with it.
So I'm thinking a little bit about, and this is something that I think about with coaches. If we were a football player, we're in high school, we're getting recruited by some of the bigger colleges. There's different personalities in coaching. I think of Dabo Sweeney, who's more of the encourager, upbuilding, uplifting.
Yep.
But then you get one of these, one of these more hard-nosed, old school type football coaches where he's gonna tell you what you want to hear or don't want to hear. He's gonna grab you by the face mask. He's more intimidating,
like belittling almost a little.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but that challenges certain personalities in a way where you want to play for someone like that, right? So would I want to play for Dabo, who's more of the encourager, or would I want to play for Harbaugh, who is more of a get your butt out there, you can do better, that kind of vibe? Do you find that, I guess, where do you find yourself? Or I know you've said some things. Do you call it like it is, whether it hurts or not? Do you need that person to be able to accept the truth, or do you tickle the ears a bit and soften the blow, as it were? Or velvet glove and iron fist?
Well, you have to learn how to, I communicate to the personality because communication is what the listener perceives. So I need them to perceive what I'm actually saying, not what they want to think. And so this is, again, the power of emotional intelligence and being aware in your own self. So it depends. It depends on that person. Now, one thing that I get consistently is I do tell it how it is. There's no point for me to lie to you. At the end of the day, me showing you love is being honest with you because it's easier to hide the truth and act like I love you versus really telling you the truth. So secret love is stupid at the end of the day. I'd rather just tell you and move on. But there's a time and place to tell you. I need to make sure, we have the trust between us because psychological safety is extremely important for me and for what I do. If you don't feel safe with me, then there's no point for me to tell you anything you aren't going to hear, because the last thing I want to do is create more of a breach in your psyche. Right. I'm here to help repair things. So certain personalities, like a dominant, type A, financial advisor or entrepreneur that's a male, I'm going to tell them exactly how it is because they don't want to sugarcoat it. They want the truth, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I give a handful of assessments to learn more about how their wiring is so that I can communicate to them the way they're best going to perceve things.
You don't want to
Because
crush
they
their
want
spirit on the
change.
first day.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I'll tell you, I've been in the gym because I'm a gym rat, and
Yeah.
there's been a
You
few.
would be, Elizabeth.
Well, wait, I saw you certified personal trainer.
Yeah.
Yes, I was. That was.
I was too, and I was a gym rat too. I said we got certified at the same thing. So
Yeah. People.
What do you love about the gym, Liz?
I'm just not really a nice person if I don't go. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah. You gotta
No,
have
I love the challenge. For me, it's my morning time of learning something or listening to a training, or just getting my mind ready. I just love a good work. I like to be challenged at the end of the day.
Yeah. Are you a competitive person?
Only with myself. Like I don't care if I win or lose necessarily. I like to always increase my abilities. I mean, I like to play. I like to compete, sure, but I'm not like a sore loser. Some people, when the reason I'm hesitating is some people who compete are competing out of like rejection. They're competing for like superiority, to be vanity, narcissism. I just compete because like I want to constantly improve my effort. I want to constantly see what I can do, how to grow.
That's beautiful. And that makes it more fulfilling when you get, so the competition is more just, I understand what you're saying, and I'm glad you said it that way. That was perfect.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna try to summarize.
Yeah.
You said it first. You said it better.
I have another question though, because I know she's got to go.
Yeah. Oh, it's cool. Actually, I don't have a hard stop anymore, so it works out.
Well, I have a question. So, like you said, like when you're with clients, you can't sugarcoat it. You know, you can hide the truth or whatever. Do you think that's true in everyday life too? Like if you're dealing with in your business. Okay. Let's say that you have employees that have become your friends almost. And so now when it's time to enforce something, you see what I mean? It's like, oh, you don't want to hurt their feelings. You see what I mean?
You already made one mistake by making your employee your friend. So first mistake.
Hey, truth bomb. Yeah.
So like that would be a perfect example of, I'm going to tell you the truth. Did it come off as rude, or did it come off as matter of fact, or did it come off as
like exactly what we want to know?
Yeah, exactly. So Jenny, let's make the setting here. Let's kind of dive into a real life example. So should I go that route? Yeah. So Jenny's got employees. She has a business,
and I love them all. But we become such friends that if I say, well, I see something that needs to be improved on, or this, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings by telling them.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you already told me that you have people-pleasing tendencies, which means you actually have fear of man, which actually means you look to humans to judge and approve your worth versus looking to God, which is kind of the correct way of looking. Probably stepped on a lot of toes by saying
you didn't, because actually everything you said was like,
yes.
I constantly say I have fear of man. I constantly say, oh, I'm afraid they're going to get mad at me. Oh, I want everybody
Start changing your vocabulary. You are literally a self-fulfilling prophecy right there.
Yeah.
Everything you're saying, you're doing. Start changing your words, and it's amazing what will change, because words do change your neurology.
I like it. Yeah. So do we want to stay there, or we want to move on to something else?
Well, you know what? It was even like we played golf this week.
Yes.
Daniel looked at me and he started singing that little song, attitude adjustment. He's like, somebody needs an attitude adjustment. And I was like, me? But yeah, I mean, because I was doing terrible.
Oh,
I was ready to cry. I was doing so terrible.
Just throw the ball, or like throw your
I was mad.
She wanted to be good, and she's good at many different things, a lot of things, but it's
not good at that.
It's that pressure to continue to perform.
Well, it sounds like you were focused on the outcome versus the process. So shift your focus from the outcome to the moment, because you cannot think about the future while being in the present.
Oh, we lost you for a second.
Yeah.
I know, that was weird. It lost me the whole website just like flashed.
Yeah.
Look what happened. That was amazing though. Okay. It's almost like you know what you're talking about. It's weird like that.
I mean,
it is.
Yeah.
You should be like, I am the best.
Yeah. I love it. I agree. The process, and even what we're doing with this, the reason that we're doing it when we're on vacation and didn't just run an old episode is because we enjoy doing it.
We do.
We enjoy the process. We enjoy the adrenaline rush, the challenge, the meeting great people, learning new things. I mean, when you have these activities that you can do that are compound benefits, then we've got to do it.
And when he said, you're going to love her, because I am a big advocate of mental health. I really am. I mean, my daughter, we did therapy she still goes to therapy. I mean, she's 19 since she was 9 or 10, religiously, OCD, severe, but anyway, I feel like if you don't take care of your mental health and you just let it go thinking things are going to get better, that is just not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
I know, it's so funny to me that people think therapy and coaching is too expensive.
Oh,
By the way, it's like, don't go to someone who takes insurance. It's actually very bad for you, and it's a no-no. Like, run away from anyone who takes insurance. You can get your insurance screwed over because they have to diagnose you within 6 weeks, which is absolute BS in my opinion, but whatever, I'm not the government. Meanwhile, at the ranch, 80% of visits to your primary care physician is due to stress.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Oh, yeah. Cancer is linked to bitterness. Osteoporosis is linked to jealousy and envy. Autoimmune disease are linked to self-hatred. At the end of the day, deal with the core issue, which is going to be mental and not your physical. Like, everyone wants the Band-Aid effect. I mean, how many Band-Aids do you want on the wound?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm looking for more patterns and things that you see over and over again. I love what you say about the fear and worry. And I would, there's all kinds of gold nuggets wherever we have this fear, wherever it's fear of man, there's more to be told about that. And I think that's true for uncomfortable, when we're around people that kind of make us uncomfortable or something about someone kind of gets that emotional rise out of us. And it doesn't have to be like a fight, but there's more to learn. It's like being uncomfortable in social situations or around certain personality types. I do believe that it's true that we see a reflection of ourselves in others. And so
Daniel's always saying, listen, we need to make ourselves uncomfortable. You know what? It's like, ask the questions that you don't know the answer to. Don't be afraid of looking stupid. Just do it. You know what I mean? It's like, because I have that, they're going to think I'm dumb if I say this or ask this. And he's like, go for it.
Yeah. And the truth is we're very similar, but I started looking at very much like you, Elizabeth. I started for my own self, started researching and learning about my own psychology, journaling. I don't know how you feel about that, but I love to journal and to become more self-aware.
He has written books.
Yeah, I just love to write. I love it very much.
I've been journaling since I was 6 years old. Journaling is one of the most powerful things you could do. It's honestly why I think my self-awareness is so great is because when you have to constantly be an observer of your environment to survive, you learn things a little bit quicker, but journaling. And it's funnily, I'm happy, Daniel, that you like to journal because most leaders in the world are men, which is kind of the way the cookie still is right now. Yeah. And most men are the ones that are the least likely to want to journal. Yet we have so much proof that journaling is one of the best things for you to do if you are a leader. Yeah. How you grow. But it's not like diary of like today I did this and then this.
Now people think that's it. It's about
things.
Yeah. That's what you're grateful
for. I agree with you. You would have to really work hard to get the journal out of my hands because it's part of my.
He walks around with it.
Yeah, because it's just a great way for me to be able to stay aware, to not lose emotional control, to not waste energy, and externalizing these thoughts.
I have a question then. What is journaling then? I mean, what it's entailed in it then? You know what I'm saying? When you say journaling, and it's not just like what happened or what you're feeling, what is it then?
Does it have to be something precise? I mean, because that question to me is a right or wrong answer.
It is, Elizabeth. It is right or wrong.
I love this. I love Elizabeth. I'm sorry, this woman.
I know. Well, I guess I'm like that. It's like, so what? Okay, what could journaling be about?
What do you want it to be about?
Man,
go.
Hey, don't be throwing that question mark back on me, Elizabeth.
I love it.
Wait a minute. I'm gonna have to send you.
I mean, in fact, maybe that's the question you need to journal.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. There you go. Why would I journal? That is exactly right. And she's turning around the question on itself. But that's exactly she's giving you a signpost in the direction in which
to go. Goes. Okay.
And I'm trying to marry the perfectionism that's might be coming out of that thought too, right?
That's exactly right.
I want to write about the right thing.
Right. She wants to write about the right thing when the truth is, somebody would pick up my journal and go, why is he even doing this? Somebody asked me, do you go back and read? I said, I really don't need to. It's more of an in the moment way of spreading out everything. I talk about an entertainment center, right? All the cords messed up. You had all these things plugged in. This is journaling for me is a way to take out each item, each peripheral, if you will, see where the power cord is, make sure it's plugged in.
You like to think and you like to get caught up in your thoughts. And so journaling allows you to do that in an external way so you can make your thoughts more tangible. It makes sense, right? Like Ginny might be
yes. Yeah, that's exactly right.
For like one thing we are kind of saying without really articulating it is like, what is the meaning you give journaling? Because there's not a right or wrong at the end of the day. And that's kind of the issue with perfectionism. I mean, we have the all or nothing thinking trap that ties to that.
Yep.
When